How much money do you really need to start a business? I started my business with $1,450, and that was enough money to get me everything I needed from a legal and financial standpoint so that I could get my business up and running. That was 5 years ago, and today Bravely is a six-figure business that I work on full-time, and we have 2 part-time employees. But let's go back to the beginning. Where did I get that $1,450? What were the first things that I spent money on in the business? How did I make those decisions? Did I always have the money dress? I officially started Bravely in January of 2017, but before that is actually when Bravely was really kind of born. See, in 2014, I had what I like to call my quarter life crisis. I was #crying in cars for a lot of 2014, and that was largely because I was working very part-time as a caterer. I was working seasonally as a lacrosse coach. I had a pile of student loan debt, and I had no real career direction, and I was just watching my friends get real jobs and get engaged and do all these things, and I felt really trapped and stuck. And for me, the kind of overarching theme in my life was you don't have any money, you're bad with the money you do have, and you have all this debt and it's ruining your life. So after crying in my car a whole bunch, at the end of 2014, literally December 30th, I decided to start writing about how I was going to pay off my student loan debt. So I got this blog and I named it FromFrugalToFree.com because I was hella frugal and I was working towards financial freedom. And on that blog, I wrote about how I was working 5 different part-time jobs in an effort to pay off my student loan debt as quickly as possible. Yeah, it was a wild time in my life. I was earning less than $20K a year and working 5 different part-time jobs and just hustling to pay off my debt. Let me know in the comments if you want to hear that story because, whew, I got stories. Anyway, back to this blog. It grew a pretty dedicated following pretty quickly because the story was really gripping and I was blogging a lot. I was writing a lot, giving these updates of, oh, today I picked up 2 extra catering shifts, so I have an extra $100 to put towards my loans. It was a great little community, honestly. And the story was pretty remarkable, so it grew this dedicated following. After I paid off all my student loans in June 2015, I kept the blog for a while, but my heart wasn't really in it anymore because it had been all about my low-income debt payoff journey, and I was really shifting away from that. My interests in personal finance had shifted, my career aspirations had shifted, and honestly, I didn't want to just have this money diary on the internet anymore. I knew I wanted to work in personal finance. I knew that I had the potential to start a personal finance business, but I also knew it couldn't just be focused on me and it couldn't just be focused on debt freedom, right? It had to involve other areas of personal finance, and I wanted it to involve other areas of personal finance. So by the fall of 2016, I figured, okay, I'm going to let this blog just kind of die. I'll let the hosting run out and I'll start a new website and a new brand. Luckily, one of my friends in the world of personal finance, shout out Kathleen, told me hey, you should try and sell this. People buy blogs. And I was like, what? Are you telling me I could make money off of this blog that I just had? And she was like, yeah, for sure, bro. So she put me in touch with 2 different dudes who bought websites, and one of them made me an offer for the blog and my Twitter account, which had about 2,000 followers at the time, for $2,500. I was like, oh my God. Now, in 2016, I made just over $30,000. It's my take-home money, and $2,500 was a lot of money to me. I was like, oh shit, this is something I've just been working on, honestly, for fun, out of a passion, and now you want to pay me for it? What? So I declined to sell the Twitter. I was like, I'm gonna hold on to the Twitter. This feels valuable. It's hard to build an online audience. I don't want to get rid of these 2,000 followers and have to start all over again. So I ended up selling just the website, the name, and the actual content of the website for $2,000. Now, of that $2,000, I had to set aside 30% for taxes, so about $1,400 ended up going into my new business savings account. Now, this wasn't actually like a business bank account. It was just a new personal savings account that I had opened that was earmarked for whatever the next version of my business was going to look like. With From Frugal to Free, I had never monetized it. I never did ads. I never did sponsored posts. It was really just a labor of love, and it was a safe space for me to go and kind of talk about my financial struggles and what I was doing to confront them, and how I was learning about money and how I was making new money decisions as I learned about budgeting and saving and all of these things. I started it not because I was thinking, oh, this will turn into a business, this will turn into a lifelong career and passion. I started it because I was like, I'm really feeling a lot of bad feelings about money and about my debt, and I would love to just work through those, and I can't afford a therapist, so I guess I'll write about them on the internet. Hashtag millennial. So now I had this $1,400, which on the one hand felt like a lot of money, and on the other hand felt like nothing. Because if you Google how to start a business or successful business owners, a lot of these huge names come up. And this was 2016, remember? So it was very much so the era of like girl boss business stuff. So, you know, it was like Jessica Alba and Gwyneth Paltrow and Blake Lively doing all of their own entrepreneurial things. And when you already have a lot of fame and money, like those stories were not particularly helpful to me, because I didn't have a lot of fame and money. And even talking to smaller business owners that I knew here in Austin, or that I was able to find stories of, it was a lot of people who had done things like worked in corporate America, making 6 figures for multiple years. So they were able to build, you know, 5-6 figure savings before they started their own business, or people had things like family money or retirement accounts that they cashed out. So again, they had way more startup capital than I did. So I was like, okay, I've got this $1,400. That feels good, but like also it feels bad. I need more money. At the time, I was still working as a caterer. Here in the summertime, that's not really our wedding season because it's too damn hot to be outside. No one wants to get married outside when it's 101 degrees in June. So in September, October, November, December, we do a ton of weddings in the catering industry. So I started working pretty much every shift that I could take. I was basically catering every Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday from October through December 2016. And that allowed me to save a bunch more money, some of which I put into my personal investment accounts and to my personal savings, but some of which went into this business savings account that I had set up. By the end of 2016, I had saved $3,300, and I honestly felt like a god. I was like, damn, I know I worked for every single penny of this money. I had never had so much money as an adult that I knew I could spend, you know, that wasn't earmarked for debt payoff or for my emergency fund. This was just money to put into this project. I was like, oh my God, this is nuts. But if you're watching this, you're probably a self-funded business owner, and you know, whether or not you've already started your business or you're saving right now to start a business soon, you know that these decisions early on that you make about where to put your money are such huge decisions, because you've already worked so hard to save this money. You don't have endless capital. So every time you open up your wallet and you're ready to spend something, you're like, ooh, this better be worth it. This better be worth it. This better bring me back some money. So let's talk about the first things that I ended up spending money on for Bravely. I definitely want to hear from y'all. Let me know in the comments about how much money you had when you started your business, or how much money you're trying to save right now if you're still in that saving process. The very first thing that I did for the business was get my domain and my website hosting. I got my domain name through GoDaddy, and it was $12, and I was like, this works for my budget. Love it, let's go. And then the next thing I needed was to get website hosting. I run my website through WordPress, which means you have to pay a separate company for the hosting. I initially started out using Bluehost, but I got really frustrated with Bluehost because their back end is really clunky and kind of hard to use, and the website speed was pretty slow. My website used to take forever to load. So I ended up switching to SiteGround, which is what I currently use. And the great thing about SiteGround is they're really affordable. They're much, much faster. The load times are way quicker, and their back end is much easier to navigate. So if you're not really a techie person, I have found SiteGround to be so much easier to use than Bluehost ever was. I spent $44.64 on SiteGround for a subscription for the year. I'll drop a link in the bio if you're interested in learning more about SiteGround for your own website. After I had the website and the hosting all set up, the next thing I did was form my LLC. LLC stands for Limited Liability Company, and it is a type of business, like it's a business designation. And the main thing that an LLC does for you is it separates your business finances from your personal finances. Like it literally puts this legal wall up between the two. If somebody wanted to sue Bravely, they could also sue me. So remember, it's 2017, I've been working my butt off to pay off my debt and build my savings and begin investing. And now you're telling me that as I'm starting a business, someone could come in and sue me and take my personal assets? No, thank you. I don't think so. So I got the LLC right away so that my personal savings and investments could be protected in the event that somebody wanted to come after my business. To set up my LLC, I did it by myself on the Texas Secretary of State website, and it cost $308. If you're a new business owner, I absolutely recommend getting your LLC ASAP. I cannot recommend it enough. It is super duper important for the legal side of things. It's super duper important for the financial side of things. You can hire a lawyer to do it if you don't want to do it yourself, or you can go through one of those websites like Rocket Lawyer or LegalZoom or whatever those are. And besides having that legal firewall, LLCs also come with a lot of other really cool legal things that you can do. So I'll drop a link in the bio that breaks down the difference between an LLC and a sole proprietorship for y'all. Now, the last thing I did right at the beginning was also the most expensive. I hired a lawyer to create my website terms of service, my website privacy policy, and my first contract. This one hurt. I'm not gonna lie, this was tough to spend the money on because it was $900 and I basically only got like 12 pieces of paper in exchange for it, and I was like, oh my God. Do you have any idea how many hours of catering $900 is? But I knew then, and I stand by it now, that getting those legal documents was an investment in myself and in the business, and that is irreplaceable. That was $900 very well spent. It protected my business, it gave me ground to build off of, and especially since we're living in the age where online privacy is becoming more and more of an issue, my website terms of service and that website privacy policy in particular is something that I am still using in my business that still offers protection. So those are the big three things that I spent money on in the beginning, but I also did a bunch of stuff for free that helped grow the business. So let's talk about those things. One of the easiest things you can do as a new business owner that has such a high return rate is start an email list. You can start collecting email lists even if you haven't already gotten your website, because if you have some social media, you can drop that sign up link to your email list in your Instagram bio. You can tweet it out, you can put it on your bio in TikTok. Your email list is also both a really powerful marketing tool and a really wonderful way to get to know people and for people to get to know you. When you're writing emails to people, you're not up against the algorithm. You don't have to be doing like what's on trend. You just get the chance to talk directly to people in their inbox. So it's a really wonderful way to show up and serve your audience. You can directly hand them tools that they're going to use to improve their life. And it's a really good way to let people get to know the real you. You know, you can share your personality, you can share your values, you can share what the business is all about from a personal level. I use ConvertKit for my email list, and they're free for the first 1,000 subscribers. So you don't have to pay anything to get started with ConvertKit, but you can be building that loyalty with people, you can be building that connection with people, and hopefully you can start making some money from your email list before you even have to pay for it. I mean, that's the dream, baby. I also find ConvertKit really easy to use from a tech and user experience point of view, and they have a ton of really helpful articles. I'm all about that article life. I love reading, I love learning. Any company that has a really good learning center, it's a way to win me over. It really is. If I can go watch videos and read articles about how to use your product better, I'm all about that life. So for a free tool that you can use to build your business and make connections with people and possibly make some sales right from the get-go, I really don't think you can beat ConvertKit. So I'll drop a link to that in my bio so you can go click on that, see for yourself, learn why I love it. The other big free thing I did right at the beginning was get myself a business bank account. Having a separate bank account for your business, for all your income, for all your expenses, is one of those things that makes your business run smoothly. It makes taxes easier, it makes tracking your sales easier, it makes tracking your expenses easier. It's just easier. Seriously, y'all, there's a little bit of paperwork involved and you might have to go down to open it in person, but honestly, with COVID, you can probably do it online. I have my business bank account at a local credit union, so you can also use a smaller bank if that's important to you. Honestly, go get a business bank account right away. Do not wait. Opening a business bank account is free, like you don't have to pay the bank to actually open the account, though you may have to have a little bit of money to put into the account. At most banks, that's like $10, but just check before you open the account. Okay, y'all, well, that is the origin story of Bravely and how I started a 6-figure business with $1,450. Drop any questions you have in the comments and I'm happy to answer them. And definitely let me know your own business goals or journey. Like, I'm super curious to hear what y'all are up to and what y'all are hoping to do. And of course, you know, I would love a like and subscribe if you learned something from this video.